Hello everyone, my name is Josh and this is Whimsical and Interesting Musings, or WHIMs as I like to call it. And today I have for you, judging by the setup, you can probably tell where this is going, I have a short story for you that I wrote called The Fallen Tooth. Now this story, in a very brief summary, is about a girl who wants a doll in the shop window of a toy shop that she basically goes by. She's very poor, that she can hardly afford most of the stuff that is in this shop, but she has her eye on one specific doll. And this doll has a lot more things to offer besides just home comforts to her. She actually does feel like the doll represents a means of, feeling less alone, or feeling a sense of, a lack of friendship. But she gets her wish one day when she meets a stranger. And this is basically the events of the story. And I hope you enjoy. This is The Fallen Tooth by me, Joshua D. Williams. And I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you're all having a very good day. If you like this video, please leave a like, give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more short stories, let me know in the comments what type of stories you'd like me to write, so that I can basically write them and, make a video on them. And I hope you're all having a very good day and enjoy. This is The Fallen Tooth by me, Joshua D. Williams. The Fallen Tooth. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Julietta. She was the daughter of a woodcarver who made puppets for the theatre in town. Although her father was the carver and her mother was the seamstress making the puppets' clothes, they, and by extension Julietta, were on the verge of poverty. A lopsided shackle was their home. A single room was both their living space, kitchen, and bedsit. Yet despite the lack of money in her pocket and the scarcity of food in her belly, all Julia wanted was a friend. But every time she went to go with the other children and play in the ice rink in winter, or to just play hopscotch or ready or not in the busy square in all weathers, no one wanted to play with her. The thought would drive her mad, thinking about how she would imagine the other children reacting to her clothes being little more than rags. "No one wants to play with you, Julietta. You smell like a cowpat. Look at her. She probably bathes where she goes to the toilet. Julietta Skunk is coming. Everyone hold your nose." How her teeth were crooked, the gums receding into dry stumps in her mouth, and what games she did know, with the practice of watching the others play, Julietta knew she was never good at them. She knew she couldn't talk to anyone about the ache in her heart for something she could call her own friend, her own toy, her own personal confidant to whisper secrets to in the stillness of sleep. Then, as she wandered through the streets of Little Fort Town Square, she saw it once again. Beyond the gilded glass window of Toys for Tuppence was a beautiful doll in a moon's tear gown, pearl-buttoned eyes, and a bright mirror-shined complexion, and the skin which made its face glisten like silverware from a distant land, the kind she often heard her father telling her stories of with his puppets. Julietta's father was the son of a woodsman who earned his trade by supplying the township of Little Fort with wood for roofs, doorways, and lighted many homes of warmth. Yet, just like his father before him, he saw further uses for wood besides it being served as a constructive material. Like most materials, wood can be utilised as a means for escape, like how the father of his father before him sought escape from the fishing boats and the merchant ships when going out to sea. She had seen the doll in its cradle on 3 other occasions, when her mother and father ventured further into town to the theatre. Her feet would ache from walking, her thoughts would light themselves anew with boredom or despair, but whenever she beheld that doll, everything else was but a terrible dream from which she would soon wake. How she looked beautiful sitting there, looking out at the world with her cherub face and eyes which beheld a dream of stories from other places Julietta could only dream of going to. She had to have her. She must. Then she remembered the holes where pockets should be, and greeted her fingertips with cold air and empty spaces. Then, out of the despair and the quiet, there came a gradual whisper, coming into Julietta's mind as if conjured thence from thin air, was the voice from somewhere close beside her. "Lend me a wish, give me your time. If you pay me a small trinket, oh, what a wealth of wonders you shall find." Julietta turned and stood before her, Tall and thin as a mushroom stem was a man dressed in green with sharp features, skin brittle as if they were freshly carved, and wearing a hat flattened with a well-rounded brim. Julietta looked at the man and the pointed hat which shrouded him from her getting a proper look at his face. "Good day to you, my child. How are you today?" the stranger asked, his voice conveying welcome in his tone, whence his face appeared nothing. "Oh, I am but a humble stranger, but I am so very troubled." "Well, excuse me. Well, what might I do for you, my lady? I'm Mr. Oakley, Oakenflesh to my friends. I sell many grand things to one and all, for a small trinket, of course. Just tell me your name and tell me your wish." "Pleased to meet you, Mr. Oakley. My name is Julietta. I'm the daughter of a woodcarver and a seamstress, and I wish to have the doll in the window for toys for twopence. For my family's so very poor, we can hardly afford clothes or food, and our house is but one room, both a living space, kitchen and bed it is." "Oh dear me! Think nothing of it, for your condition will soon up and be spent. Bear me a trinket, my lady, and I shall grant you what you so desire." "Oh, but I don't just want to have her, Mr. Oakley. I want to be her. I want to have her clothes and wear a face the same as she. I want to live in a palace and travel places, get my family out of poverty. Please, Mr. Oakley, grant me this wish, so that one day my luck will fare much better than this. Then, if that is all you desire, my lady, cross my palm with your trinket, and all that you shall want shall once and forever be." "Will it be true? No more will I be seen in rags, nor I, the daughter of woodcarver and seamstress, be? Will I be allowed to escape, travel proud and free?" Julietta's eyes glistened with tears of wonder and starlight upon beaming up at Mr. Oakley. "Aye, just give me one thing, and all will be yours, you'll see." Julietta smiled, the brightest she had ever been. Then one front tooth fell and landed at her feet. "This be price enough, my dear," Mr. Oakley said, and with that he threw his vibrant green coat over the display casement, and with a whisker and a wave, the doll, real in its silvery seamed shawls, appeared as shadow-faced as life itself in front of Julietta's eyes. She was so overcome with joy and excitement that Julietta snatched it quickly from Mr. Oakley's palm. She could hardly contain her elation at having the thing she wanted in her hands at last. "Oh, thank you, Mr. Oakley, thank you kindly indeed. I will give you many thanks and praise. My blessings go solely to thee." Mr. Oakley readorned his coat and tidied it, along with his collar and hat. He doffed his posture in a bow, and wished Julietta plainly thus: "Thank you, kindly child. Now run along, straight home. It doesn't bode well for children like you to be out this hour all on your own." So, run home Julietta did, with her present now in tow. When she got home she rushed to sleep, and she dreamed of a better home. She closed her eyes, held her breath, for when she woke the only thing she will wish for after all of that will be sweet, sweet rest. Then one day, when Julietta and her family were preparing for a show at the theatre, she sat with her doll in her arms, watching the show in awe as if for the very first time. After the show, the manager of the theatre said he loved the performance so much that he wanted to give her father's puppets their own show, and so they could afford to move out of that one-roomed house and into a place of candlelight in winter and gas-lighted lamps for all weathers still. She went to bed and told her doll in quiet counsel how she wanted to go to school like the other children she'd met on the street, and how she could make friends and wear clothes like them instead of the rags she used to wear. So, with the money coming in from her father's show, Julietta could be sent to school. So she went and learned, and she studied and learned and went. She held on to knowledge, memorized it, and recited it like rites or incantations until she became the talk of her school. And it appeared her wish for friends was granted. Everyone wanted to sit with her at lunch or during class. Everyone admired the threads of her uniform and the prettiness of her doll she never left the house without. She loved spending time with the girls in her class and enjoyed talking about siblings they all had, and when they asked her if she had any, she said that she didn't, that she had only her many friends, and this was all she ever had and all she ever wanted. The years seemed to pass like minutes. The number of her age went from singular to double digits. Then it was the eve of her 15th birthday party. The room was strewn with bunting, party poppers littered the ground as her crowd of friends swarmed. When her father unfolded her eyes, she ate cake and played games in the parlour until she was alone for a moment, and a voice brushed past her ears. "Hello," it said. "I think you're very pretty. Would you like to dance with me?" Julietta turned, and there before her stood a boy as tall as she. He had short dark hair and two eyebrows that meet in the middle when joining in the ritual closeness and the shadowy glare one sees when seeing two lovers about to kiss. Henry was his name, and he doffed his hand to her, and they went to dance. They chatted before a great feast laid out upon a lone table, and they laughed like friends before the now assuring eye of the white-lighted moon from down upon them. A thicket. When a light-lighted when a white-lighted moon shone down upon them from a thicket of shadow from on high of a tree. Then, when the evening's hour was almost spent, they kissed under that tree. And in that moment Julietta knew why, when she got to a certain age, that boys no longer became annoyances for her and her friends to put up with, but persons whom she could depend on in times of difficulty and confidence, when the time for play fell to the next lot of children, and their time for love and guidance came with the coming of their own child. And whatever ambitions they had can still be entertained in passing. When it came down to it, a child and the happiness of them seemed their other aim. Henry got down on one knee and said that he shall be her servant for life, and when the sun rises upon the morning of the dawn of her next birthday, they shall be husband and wife. What joy she felt, and her excitement was all but overflown. But they must wait as long as the year. And Henry replied, "Be not worried, my dear, for we have a lifetime now to be fools and fail to sadness and regret for past mistakes. Let us now enjoy the moment and savour the year of joys and trials together before the destination of the chapel looms. I promise you as my bride that isn't a promise freely made by any, and I will be your groom." The lovers kissed deeply thence. The candles were lit on the cake, songs were sung, the promise of undying lovers was set, and under the moon, a motionless light of the moon, they parted. The cake was cut, and the guests made way for their beds. As Julietta wished for hers, she thanked her parents, and she snuggled with her doll. All her blessings and thanks belonged to the stranger who bequeathed her that doll. Then Julietta rested and lain and rested, until the sounds of the night greeted her with silence and sweet dreams. Dreams of mother and father, dreams of her friends, dreams of her handsome lover, and dreams of wealth she had gained from her wish as a child, from a fallen tooth. Lend me a name, lend me a wish, lend me a trinket, and you shall be found more richer than this. The rhyme, with all its wealth of wisdom and time, bellowed Julietta to sleep. The rhyme, with all its wealth of wisdom and time, billowed Julietta to sleep, and sleep, and sleep. Julietta awoke to find a tightness in her chest. She hardly utters a word, let alone a question. Her lips were stuck together, and she tried to move, but it was as if she had no hands or fingers there. She tried to roll herself over, but her bones were only stiff. Her flesh seemed numb, or to have vanished altogether. That's strange. She could have only dreamed of good things before she prayed to God for sleep, but now she couldn't feel anything. Julietta opened her eyes and found the morning so bright. She tried tilting her head to move around, but her sight was only seen through an oval-shaped lens, turned over to reveal an enlarged and surreality of distance in one way, and seen through closeness in the next, all in one fluid angle, it seemed. Julietta could feel the brush of her breathing, as draughty and damp on her cheek as with the candle wax in abandoning the flame to dripping. She tried calling out, screaming, help me, please, I'm trapped," but her words were red with passion and going cold from having succumbed to total depletion. They were It had only hurt the girl to scream. Julietta rested. Then as she blinked, Julietta could see there was a girl standing in front of her. The boldly lighted glimmer of the sun of the day shone through as the little Fort Town Square became clear at the shroud's back. The child's own face was a shadow in the glare, yet was all overwhelmed, practically brimming with excitement, their own mother's arm hanging in one hand. Then Julietta started to see her figure within the blur of the mirrored sheen, the same moon's tear dress flowing, and star-lighted eyes streaked in a bluish hue in front of her face. Julietta sat standing in this cramped space in seemingly endlessly tightness of chest and limbs, even thinking the unthinkable when the possibility of eternal oblivion loomed. For it is clearly shown to thee, in the practice of worship and the teachings of the hereafter, that if desperation were to turn itself, through the despair in her heart, to the cruelty of her meeting fate in swiftness to what was intended, her life would see fit to be reworked straight back to her present misery. No more friends, family. Growing up and growing older was but a mere fairy tale now. She couldn't speak to her mother and father and tell them how deeply she loved them. She also loved the puppets her father carved and the shows he put on just for her, it seemed. Julietta missed the hugs, the warmth in her heart upon seeing their faces, which assured her that whatever beast was found in man or material things, she had no place with her in the family home. Then she remembered the voice in the darkness, the voice of the stranger, the townsfolk, and he called Mr. Oakley. "Give me this, and all you wish shall be, for within this time tomorrow, your soul will belong to me." The end. So I hope you enjoyed that story. That was The Fallen Tooth by me, Joshua D. Williams, and I hope you're all having a very good day, and bye-bye for now.